The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
Welcome to Almost Here, Round the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies poised to transform our lives for better or worse are the focus of this podcast. Almost here means these technologies are now here and starting to be used, or just around the corner, from Bitcoin to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with Future Tech Podcast. My guests today are Jen Greyson, the CEO, and Will Bown, Chief Architect at Neureal.net, and I hope I pronounced that right, Neureal.net. How you guys
That's right. Good.
Great.
Very good today. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, just, I always start with the basics. Tell me about Neureal.net. What do you guys do, and what's the premise of the company?
I want you to go.
You want me to tip? All right. So Will's been in the process for the last 4 years of creating a predictive AI built on the blockchain. And the simplest way to put it is we are creating a limitless ability to forecast. Predictive AI is a very narrow position on artificial intelligence, and so it will allow us to, the way the entire architecture has been structured, it's so we can predict anything. So from narrowing the cone of uncertainty on a hurricane to where drivers are going to be for Lyft self-driving cars to predicting Bitcoin prices that are coming up. And we are doing this all inside the infrastructure of blockchain with a cryptocurrency component. We'll have our own token that will operate inside of the platform.
So, for those that don't know, what is predictive AI like? How does it function, and what does it look like to someone that doesn't know anything about AI?
Will, you get to take that one.
Oh, yeah? Okay. So somebody who doesn't know about AI, what that is or whatever, basically it's machines that predict the future. I don't know what to relate it to.
Well, what's an example of something that you guys would want to predict? Maybe a simple example. Would you try to have your AI, for instance, predict the rainfall in Austin, Texas over the next month, or would it be something a lot more complicated than that?
It could be as simple as that. One of the ways that we explain it that a lot of people understand is it's currently how Netflix is able to predict what you're going to want to watch next based on the romantic comedy or action movie that you just finished up. And so Netflix uses artificial intelligence and predictive algorithms to predict the best answer because they don't want to show you a movie that doesn't apply or isn't, they don't want to send my mom something that, my little brother would rather watch. And, she loves the English stories. And so the predictions have to be right and accurate. And when it comes to predictive AI, accuracy is where it really matters. It's 89% is accurate, but 92% is obviously better. And so what Will's been able to create and architect with the rest of the founders, and we've brought on some new developers, and they've kind of been thinking through the way this architecture is going to look, is the ability to get more accurate on these predictions. And so we'll be able to take it to the point of anyone can predict anything. I mean, it really is to the point of being able to take the data that's currently in Fitbits that, everybody right now is wandering around with a Fitbit or a smartphone, and that is one of the best resources for live streaming data. And we can plug that in to the point that it can at some point be able to predict heart attacks and get you to a hospital in time. It'll be able to predict what activities are affecting climate change and that are making species go extinct. I mean, it really is the ability to predict anything that anyone wants to have predicted, and who has the data set that they can put into the system.
Can you guys predict which specific use cases at first?
That's
we'd like to be able to.
An egg question, I think.
No.
I mean,
What I'm saying is, who's reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, I want to use your tool for X"? What kind of use cases do you first envision this being used?
For us right now, we have, so our roadmap builds out a couple of them that we want to be able to use. Human resources right now, I mean, predictive AI is being used in a lot of applications currently. Human resources is a big one where they are getting more accurate on, is this individual going to fit into the culture and community that we have? We're in talks with a couple of companies right now that are already using predictive AI, and that we can continue to help them be more accurate. That's a big one. There are a couple of other uses for us as far as just looking at, we have one other one where a company evaluates other companies to see if they are at the point that they're ready to take on investors. And so there's a huge stream of data with that. And so we're starting with some of those components. For us right now, the hurricane one is a big one because we also have a big humanitarian component of our company, because Will has always believed that machines and humans are going to need to work together. It's not about machines taking over the world. Humans are always going to need to be a component of this. So we've always really wanted to touch on the humanitarian aspect and make sure that we're looking out for our fellow humans. So hurricanes are a big one, and being able to narrow the cone of uncertainty so that we're getting more accurate with where those hurricanes are making landfall and when people need to be evacuated and where they need to be evacuated to, so they're not being driven right into the path of the hurricane. So it's a little bit of everything.
Sure. Well, it sounds like hurricanes are an interest of yours. Why then have the AI on a blockchain? Why is that a benefit? How would it operate on a blockchain differently from not on a blockchain?
I think I should probably answer that one.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we were just talking about that actually right before you came on. So one of the issues for accuracy. Okay, so I can. There's a company with a guy that we're going to look at as far as hopefully be one of our advisors. He has actually talked to us in the past, but it's a company called HireView, and they predict whether from an video interview they try to predict whether a person's going to be a good hire for your company, right? Okay, so that's their thing. So they do it using machine learning, using AI, and he just told me that they spent $500,000 on hardware to do that, just to make it more accurate. And so right now you can go and you can buy compute to run these kind of algorithms and do these predictions and get more accurate. You can buy compute on Amazon Cloud, and also, but there's another thing about the data. Like you need lots of data, and it's hard to find the data that's valuable and get access to it. So those are the kind of problems that they run into. Is spending this much money, is spending a bunch of money, is having like a maximum that they can actually handle. So $500,000 computer, is a management kind of problem after you start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So what the blockchain does and what our project is doing it's basically we're offloading all of that work to individuals, right, that do it in their home, like with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the kind of the model for this. So if you look at Bitcoin and its evolution, with an incentive to mine, quote, which means you set up a computer with, you go out and buy some video cards. I don't know if you noticed, but the price of video cards is skyrocketing for gaming cards, and the reason why is because of cryptocurrency, specifically. So it's not gamers, it's not industry, it's cryptocurrency and mining that is causing like video cards to go out the roof, and regular gamers that originally you'd think that was the market for them can't even get them for double the price. right? And that's happened in the last couple months because of the rise in price of cryptocurrency. So if you calculate so Bitcoin itself has grown to huge proportions, like relative. So I calculated it out, and it's about 100,000 times faster, the whole Bitcoin compute network, than the world's largest supercomputer. So what that means is that a bunch of people putting together machines in their basement have out eclipsed by 100,000 times what the world's largest governments, the world's largest companies have been able to create. So that is the power that blockchain brings to this question. It's the unlimited scalability, basically, and unlimited access to data as well. And so you in a company, you're limited by your actual resources that you have, and you're limited absolutely, right, by the capability of being able to do that. So with a blockchain, basically you're decentralizing, just like the internet itself, right, decentralizes the capability to communicate.
Does that mean that people on the blockchain will use their computing power to run these predictions, and that's how you can get it to work at scale? If you're going to predict a hurricane in Louisiana, do you need 100,000 people by virtue of them holding tokens or whatever, transacting, to give that computing power in order to do it? I mean, Gollum kind of working on something like this, but in a different way. Is that what you guys are doing?
Yeah. So Gollum is a general purpose compute. So they're going to have, Gollum is going to have the ability, kind of like the cloud, where anybody can run whatever they want as far as whatever kind of compute. They actually started out doing transcoding of video. So that was their purpose that they started with. So they're doing generalized compute. What we're doing is we're optimizing our blockchain particularly for the purpose of prediction. And so we're not, it's nothing else. Like, it's just prediction. And it's just predicting live data streams. It's not prediction, anything else. I mean, it's not like event prediction. It's prediction of live data streams. And so examples of that are like the Fitbit information that's always coming, data is always coming off sensors. So weather is really good because you put up a weather sensor, at your house, and the weather, the data is always coming in. I mean, there's always changes, temperature changes, the barometric pressure changes, all that data is being fed in real time. It's live data. So it gets fed into Neureal. So it's about optimizing that system. So Gollum is not going to be able to compete for this particular purpose. And because our blockchain is going to be not generalized but optimized. So anybody that's used Ethereum for programming can see that you're limited in your compute ability. Like, when they have an ICO, like, it bogs down the blockchain for everyone. And that's what we're trying to get rid of. That's why we're making our own blockchain that's separate from Gollum or some of these other projects.
So how will it work? What's the role of the token? And again, literally, what's an example? You want to model a hurricane that may be forming, over Louisiana. What happens? Do you put a call out to people that own tokens? Does the system automatically use part of their computing cycles? How does it work in action?
So there's the hurricane's a little bit different than the hurricane example is something that could possibly be kind of like public good, crowdsourced, open source, free, right? So because people are interested in that and they may want to contribute their compute just for free, right? If that's the case, then the token isn't really isn't useful unless people want to actually incentivize more people to contribute. So if you have X amount of people who really like it, but then you have more people, that you could get if you put a little bit of money up, right? And so you may have people donate to the project in that. So how that would work is you would have kind of a Kickstarter type of we have these things called, we call them oracles, and it's the consumer side. It's how you put up your project for prediction, and you send the data, so you're the authority for the data source, and then people can contribute to that in this kind of Kickstarter model, and they can put money up. So So, I always tell people what our platform is, in technical essence, is a competition platform. And so you put up a competition to predict a particular data stream. And that competition has money available, or they could possibly have money available with it. So as you win the competition, you get token, right? And so so the payment, so people can contribute to these special contracts that, in essence, that once they get to a certain level, like let's say 100,000 or something, then the whole thing is funded, and then people actually get money. Or you may be able to set one up where people can just contribute, and then people get paid, ongoing live kind of a situation. So like, you'd have one predicting, like you said, a particular weather, predicting a hurricane but basically you'd be predicting the future of the weather in a particular weather data in a particular area, right? And you'd have to analyze that.
Is this people competing against your AI, or is it people by virtue of people just again using their computer power? And that's what the AI uses, or I'm not clear how it works.
Yeah, well, one thing about me that I run into is communicating with people is that I assume the machines are like people. So people think, I'm talking about the machines doing it, right? So I'm talking about people running machines that do the prediction, right? That's what I'm talking about.
So they're running an instance of your software that, do you sell an AI in a box that people install as software and they run it on their computer, or are the people themselves looking at the data and trying to predict?
So either one can actually happen, but when you're talking about live data, the humans just really can't keep up. I mean, you have to sleep, you have to eat. You're not predicting events. You're predicting like what is happening in the next, 5 minutes or, an hour. Like not what is happening in an hour, but what is happening during the next hour, right? Like imagine the price of a stock. The price of a stock is constantly changing, right? And so if you predict the price of that stock into the future, you're not predicting it 10 minutes from now. You're predicting it every second for 10 minutes, right? And so what is the price going to be into the future? And so that's really, really hard for a human to do manually. And, somebody could do it, I could sit there and like type in numbers really fast, but that wouldn't compete. So they can, but the thing is that people aren't going to be able to compete very well against the computers, the automation and the machines. So the machines don't run by themselves. So it's a human behind that. Like I am a data scientist and I set up a computer and I set up algorithms or whatever. But to answer your question, we are going to do a software in a box, but it's not going to be sold. We're just giving it away free. And so we're doing we're doing AI in a box for everyone if they're not a data scientist. So, but they still have to keep their computer running, right? So it's like they have to be a part of it in some way. So they download the software that's free, contribute, and if they have it's a nice gaming machine with some 1080 Ti, NVIDIA cards, then they can run the software and make some money without having to do much. But they have to keep the computer running and produce this heat, and they got to deal with that. And like it's not, no matter what, they're gonna have to do something, right? So that's the situation. So it's people running.
This is kind of like This is like SETI at home on the blockchain. It sounds like, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the ability to get paid. So it's like SETI at home, where you can get the nice feeling tokens. Like you can get like the leaderboard. We'll have leaderboards and these things. And people will be like, hey, I'm really, I'm doing really well. I'm kicking butt, predicting this hurricane. But we'll also have the ability to put money into that. And so people actually get paid, not just feel good, right, when they're doing that.
So let's talk about the role of the token. To participate, do I need your token, or do I simply get rewarded with tokens for being a part of the a prediction market?
You need to predict, or to?
Yeah, in order to predict, do I need a certain amount of tokens to do it? And when I do it, and I run my machine to work in a market you guys are working in, do I get rewarded with tokens? How does your tokenomics work?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So there is a small cost, but it's only the transaction cost and our transaction cost should be really, really, really small for predictions. So like if I put a bunch of predictions in. I'm doing it on a side chain, so it would be microtransactions with a very super low transaction cost, and so there should be a really super low transaction cost. That's another reason we're doing our own blockchain, so we can so people can put live data transactions onto the chain. So there is a cost as a predictor, but it's really super minimal. I can't say it's going to be a market, for that. I mean, it could be. I'm sure it'd be sub pennies. It'd be like maybe $1. I don't know. To participate in a particular competition for a certain amount of time. So there's going to be a small cost, a transaction fee. You definitely, when you win, and you get paid in a token. And so the thing is, like, over time, you may get paid small amounts here and there, but large amounts at other times, depending on how well you do, like your machine does. So if your machine, has some sort of burst of insight or something, and it's like, whoa, hey, it's predicting really well, it'll get paid a larger amount at that time. So it's a variation, it's a micropayment payout. And so you'll be getting money constantly, or not if you're just running a random number generator, right?
Okay, gotcha. And what about comparing you guys to Augur or Gnosis? I know that they want to do prediction markets where people bet, win and that kind of thing. It sounds like yours is different, but I don't get how.
In Augur, you bet. Like you say, you have to put up money, so you're betting that you're going to be right, and it's event-based. So, I've been talking about that. So that is the real difference, what I've been explaining. And so on Augur, you go in and there's events in the future that you bet on. So like who's going to be the next president as an event, right? That's either it's one or the other. It happens at a certain time into the future, and you bet a certain amount and you get the pot if you're correct or how close you are, or whatever. Right, and so you're putting the predictors put the money in, and then whoever wins or is closest gets the money out. Okay, so ours is different. The provider of the data stream is the one that provides the money that's won. So it's more like a competition, like on Kaggle or the Netflix competition that we talked about. So Netflix put up $1 million for someone to make a model. The winner model would get the $1 million. Ours is more like that, where you're doing somebody wants the prediction, and so they pay a certain amount of money to get that prediction, and so that's the money that people win. So you put up a very small amount to participate. Like I said, it's a standard amount that everybody pays. It's not a bet, and so anyway, so that's how it's different. So
gotcha.
Yeah. And it's live. It's made to do the live streaming of data, not like where you have like I explained. You have live things coming in like second by second. It's like if you imagine Augur with events happening every second, it would be overwhelming for humans, right, to do that.
So what's on last question or two? What's on your roadmap for the next 6 months or a year? Is your token out? Is it going to be launched? What do people expect to see from you?
Jen, do you want to answer those?
Absolutely. So we're currently in pre-sale, and then our pre-sale right now is scheduled. Will and I have been talking about whether or not we're going to push it back or not. So it's coming either late first quarter, beginning of second quarter, and then our roadmap over the next 2 years. The release of the software will happen in 2 years. Our first MUV is coming, which will be a trading bot, is coming in the first 9 months, and then we follow that up with our first MUV in the following 6 months, and then another 6 months after that. So we've really ramped up in the last 6 months and are continuing to grow very, very quickly. Our Telegram group, I think, is nearing I think we're about to break another milestone today, and adding, I think we're almost up to 400. So a lot of really great growth in the community, and we've had a lot of people sharing it. So our roadmap really is to continue to grow the community for the next month, 45 days, and then kick off the token sale, and then headed straight into additional development. Like Will said, he and one of the other founders have been working a lot with a local university team that are at the University of Utah, and they've been doing a lot of construction of the architecture, evaluating blockchains. We had one that he was pretty sure he wanted to use, but they're evaluating a couple other ones. And so we are continuing to really work on the development side of it, as well as all of the pieces of getting ready for the token bill. So that's kind of what we have planned for the next little while.
Very good. And what's the best way for people to join the Telegram group or to get in contact with you to ask questions?
We would love for them to join our Telegram group. It is, I don't have to search to get into Telegram, but if you hop onto our website, Neureal.net, and it's Neureal.net, there are links to get into the Telegram from there. And we have a fantastic community manager who is really great about being able to answer questions, and Will and I are usually around and available as well. So that's the best way to hop in and ask questions, and we love questions and love getting to interact with the community.
All right, guys. Well, great. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
You have been listening to Almost Here, Around the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Subscribe to this podcast, post a review to discover more future technologies that are poised to transform our lives for better or worse, such as Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.